All right. I'm a little scary there for a second. Well, frequently removing the microphone is not super good, but there's no other way I want to do it. Anyway, hey guys, hey, it's me, it's Tech, Drinker. How you guys doing? We are possibly on the final day of the Devil episode 2. I hate to see it go, but I love to watch. I love playing this game. It's such a good game. I'm glad I'm glad I found that what was it, Twitter post? Maybe it was Blue Sky. I don't know. That was like, hey, check out this cool game, and I was like, yes, this is a fantastic game. But yeah, I am eager to get into it. So let's just go. We continue. I Oop, here to join. What are you talking about? We must be flashing back again. Sorry to disappoint, but I was here first. Net's slow as shit in this wing of the school. No one else comes here if they don't have to, so it's a quiet spot to read. Uh, yeah, it is a detective mystery. So what? Like 5% of the books in the library are. Uh, well, it's not like I own the room. If you want to convene your club meetings here, with all your many members, I can't exactly sue you. Especially not since you're going to be some big shot lawyer. Join your club so I won't get evicted? Isn't that like blackmail? Counselor? Hmm. Mutually beneficial, sure. So it's just plain old corruption. You'll do just fine out there in the adult world. Hmm. Whatever. As long as you don't go around telling people I'm a member, you can put me down. Hmm. We need to add our phone numbers too? Hmm. No, I don't actually care. Is something wrong? Why would you think that something's wrong? It's very unusual for you to wake up mid-transit. When you decide to nap, you fall asleep very fast and you sleep very deeply. Suspiciously so. Sometimes I'll try and wake you and I could swear you're just pretending. I have no clue what you're talking about. Besides, you're the one who's been quiet. I had been bothering Sosuke, I think, pestering him about catching bullets. If you were bothering Sosuke, I'm pretty sure he'd say it. Turned to the side in that bitchy pose of his. But I can't catch a bullet either. Even though I'm fast, and I can see fast. Sosuke was the one who acted while I just... Sosuke's trained for that exact kind of thing. Trained for his whole life, the way he tells it. Father built me to be strong. I should be able to... David didn't build you to be anything, Sarah. He didn't even really build you. Just watched you grow. And do you think I'm still growing? Still developing? You think I can get taller? I think you shouldn't get your hopes up about that. Oh. Come on, you can bounce back faster than that. I'm sorry. I suppose I am still processing what we saw back in the courtroom. When Detective London took out that shooter? I know that Detective London has been a police officer for many years. It stands to reason that he'd act decisively in circumstances where so many lives are at risk. What I'm still thinking about is the man he killed. Yeah, but there's only so much speculating we can do about his motive until... I'm not thinking about his motive. I'm thinking about how he is dead. You haven't been out and about that long. Everything's new to you. Even the most ordinary stuff. Guess I forgot that kind of excludes the extraordinary, too.
You've seen violence before like that? You've seen violence like that before then?
Yes, I have.
Seen people die?
Yes, I have.
Seen more people die than most your age? Most lawyers?
Probably a safe bet.
This is a private subject, isn't it?
Death is always private. I'm no exception.
Do people ever get used to it?
I can only speak for myself.
Have you gotten used to it?
Every time's like the first time.
I hope that everyone is like you then. It doesn't seem like the kind of thing everyone should get used to.
Sorry to disappoint you then. There are no people like me. Irashai.
Irashai.
To what do I owe the pleasure of hosting my two favorite girls? One's Sarah, who's the other? Figment of my imagination, apparently. Do you want something to drink?
What do you recommend?
I've got just this case of beautiful, tawny deep reds from volcanic soil across the sea. Savory and full, with notes of cherry and oak.
Sounds delicious.
You just described a tree, down to the dirt.
Well, I would very much like to try it.
Sorry, you're underage. She's an android. A very realistic one. What do you say to customers who walk in and see her drinking at the counter?
Irashai?
Two waters coming right up. Wait, back up. Your client is the Hound of Ikaria? And I was the last person to find out what that actually means. Then it should be easy enough to tell you whether he did the deed or not. The Hound always leaves a calling card. So I hear. Is that literal? Stock-wide business card laid neatly on the ground with the Hound's insignia. House's insignia.
I don't understand why the house would go to such lengths to let the victims know who attacked them.
These neo-ability types, their whole lives are galas and boardrooms and cocktail parties and wine tastings. Torture. Hello? Well, every sentence is a front and back side to it, and every glance is a whole unspoken clause. To them, an unambiguous act of violence is an exclamation point they can't misconstrue. And the Ikariyas aren't exactly at the top of neo-ability pecking order. Reminded the others that they've got their fangs and reminded the others that they've still got their fangs as a viable strategy. They know they're outclassed in terms of how many mounds of gold they have. Doesn't explain why such a supposedly great assassin has gotten made on more than one occasion. Well, he's probably just doing his job there. If all he needed was to get away with murder, he'd be a poisoner or a sniper. All the major houses love to use body doubles. If he kills a target behind closed doors, the house can just bring out a spare. Oh hell, claim the entire thing never happened. But if the Hound kills where houses rivals can see, the damage sticks.
You know a lot about the Neo ability, don't you, boss? Are you considered part of the, Neo aristocracy?
Do I look like I got that kind of sway? I don't run a bar in Midtown as a hobby, kid. Wouldn't you know it, looking how profitable your wine section is? It'll catch on. Hound was a nasty surprise, but the big reveal isn't making anything click for me. Blueblood assassin trying to mist him mid-trial? I don't get it either, but the Bluebloods aren't as rational as they used to be.
Used to be?
I traded with them a good deal when I was younger, and they were richer.
Traded what?
Stock tips.
Oh,
I'm gonna wait just a little bit while the internet decides it wants to calm down. Oop, shit. Disconnected and reconnected. Ooh. Are we back? Sure hope so. That was before the Ikaria cut them down. I was a young man, hungry to establish myself, and the Bluebloods were the biggest game in town. The rest weren't even a twinkle in some psycho punk's eye back then, and the Ikaria cartel were just that. Drug smugglers and dope runners. The Bluebloods used them as couriers. A reversal of fortune. Could be their names on the opera house and hospitals all across the city today
if what?
Ikaria hadn't killed them all.
But didn't they have allies? Connections?
The morgues were overflowing with cerulean blood. No one wanted anything to do with them.
But they were the victims.
Corporate partners are risk averse. Political alliances require you to bring something to the table. And when you fall that far that fast, the common folk assume it happened for a reason.
They thought the Bluebloods deserved it just because it happened to them?
All that was left were the old timers, the grandparents and the great uncles all suddenly without heirs. They recruited latchkeys and orphans during the Red Decade. Found family that became the first gens, then the young bloods.
What about the money?
You're starting to sound like a real human. Some of it, the cash, the gold, the jewels, the Ikaria just stole. But the vast majority of it was held overseas, where it was safe, untouchable, and impossible to get your hands on without the right blood. Locked behind GFA. Getting butchered by the Ikaria was a bad beating, but losing that money was unforgivable. The rest of the Blue Blood Mafia ran around the world and never accept them back into the fold until they recover it. Exiled from paradise because they tempted fate with their hubris. Has a certain poetic charm to it, no? Oop, shit.
It would have to be a very sobering poem.
Those are the ones you remember, ain't they? Probably why the Blue Bloods are still humming the same old hymns, passing down the same ghost stories and urban legends. They did seem to be a surprisingly superstitious bunch. Crossing their fingers over the red hood and... Hey, what's a little lord? That's another one. New spin on one of the oldest tales in the book. A promised prince. The belief is that exactly one kid survived the fall of the Leaves. One lone heir to all the fortune the Blue Bloods lost. Got spirited away overseas or out west to be raised in secret, and one day he'll come back and reclaim what's rightfully... You know, I'm guessing you heard this one before.
Is there any truth to it?
Old gods certainly seem to think so. Need to think so. Probably what's keeping them alive. They can just hold out another 5 years, they'll finally find the heir they've been looking for, and they can rectify decades of embarrassment and shame. Thinking like that's what makes the young blood start talking about maybe the old god don't care what happened to us. I am pausing for both dramatic effect and so that the disconnection can finally reconnect. There's the disconnection message. My, but the internet is particularly bad tonight. Oof. What do they expect? Blood's thicker than water.
The original full expression is thought to be, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. That actually suggests that camaraderie between those who fought together is stronger than simply sharing a common relative.
Oh shit. She is right, by the way. Or at least from what I've heard. Yeah, well, if that were actually true, then maybe people wouldn't have amputated the expression centuries ago. Still, this is 30 years of water, or blood covenant, if you prefer, that we're talking about. Young bloods give their life to the mafia. Each of them had to choose it over their own family. Pretty raw deal to cut him loose just 'cause some sheltered kid, only valuable for his DNA, decided to show up all these years. Think the old guard would throw away the young bloods if it meant reuniting with their little lord? I know it, and so did the young bloods.
That doesn't seem to be a dynamic that incentivizes them to look very hard for this little lord.
No, it incentivizes them to smother the royal bastard. If I assume my client is innocent, that means someone else killed Tariq Chopin. Someone who didn't do it in self-defense. Tariq Chopin? You mean the son of the city councilman? Adopted son. His parents are government officials. Even if they're loaded, the Mob Act can't protect all their records. I do actually remember this one. Something like privacy. Oh, shit. Protection of reasonable anonymity, yeah. Yeah, the flashlight things. I remember this one. Sarah, look this guy up.
What do you want to know?
Let's start at age. How old was he?
His age is listed as 27, but his entry has been edited a number of times. There has been a great deal of back and forth between database contributors in the last 36. Oh man, my old fucking numbers dyslexia is acting up again. There's been a great deal of back and forth between database contributors in the last 36 hours over the addition or removal of an asterisk. It seems his original birth certificate was lost.
Well, that's shady. Only kinda. Here it comes. If he was an orphan 27 years ago, that's pretty firmly in the red decade. A lot of paperwork was getting lost back then. That's a kind way of putting it.
What would be an unkind way of putting it?
The governments of the world were scrambling. Any adoption records?
His fathers adopted him in 2066 after 3 months of visits to the Gospel Home Orphanages, a private philanthropic institution that is no longer in business.
Bankrupt or bought out?
Bankrupt.
Damn. It had just been swallowed. The parent company might have kept their records.
The adoption itself was somewhat of an event. There are multiple news articles and photos of it.
Not trying to cast doubt on the realness of their connection, but they wouldn't be career politicians if they let a photo op that good passing by. Unless they wanted to draw attention away from who they were adopting, and no, a child showing up quietly in a politician's life looks guilty as sin, they would let people think. This isn't useful. I can't go in circles all day speculating about this. How about his education?
Tariq Chopin had a law degree.
Who gets a law degree and then becomes a patrol officer? Son of a politician. Not a bad path. Your superiors know you're connected and smart. You can recognize when the law's being broken. They'll keep you far away from anything real. You can coast for a year and then move on to politics as a veteran of the force who's hot on crime. London did mention he was far too principled to be likable or reliable. If joining up with the police was nothing but a calculated move, that means he had a career plan for what to do after. It probably didn't involve defrauding the city in a real estate scheme. I could think of a few reasons why a cop would get murdered at the scene of a crime like that. But Tariq Chopin wasn't some ordinary cop. The strongest motive if that comes to mind is... Wait, you really think...
You think Chopin was the Little Lord?
I was also starting to think that when they was like, yeah, he was adopted around the Red Decade. You're the last person I'd expect to believe in fairy tales, Red. Can you honestly say it doesn't fit? If we, for a moment, assume that unicorns and dragons, Tsuchinokos are real.
What do you mean? Tsuchinokos are very well documented. I can show you.
Then yeah, it's possible that Chopin was a little lord. And if any young blood knew it, they'd want him dead.
To prevent the old guard from abandoning them.
3 thoughts come to mind. 1, this is all guesswork on your part. Even the most zealous young bloods won't off a guy just because it happened to be about 36 years old and adopted. They would have had to have seen something that at least suggested it. 2, as I recall, the only young blood that you knew of in this. Hold on. Okay. 2, as I recall, the only young blood you know of is this Creek guy. And Creek was dead before Chopin ever entered the building. Clears his name pretty handily. The only young blood I know. 3, I can think of at least one other group that killed the little lord from reclaiming his throne.
How's Ikarian?
And who better to cut them down than the most loyal rook? And that would neatly explain why the old guard would be pissed enough to try and kill Sasuke in a courtroom. Unfortunately. Stay positive. Just because the old god thinks Sasuke killed their precious heir, don't mean he actually did. Yeah. I'm dropping frames again, so I'm holding off. Oop, shit. One more full drop, and I'm just gonna ignore it when it happens again. Oop. Are we so back, or is it so over? Oh, we're so back. Okay, cool. Hey, Sarah, get some footage of me making this next one. From, over there in the corner.
Boss?
We'll shoot a promo. I just found this hidden gem where this guy made the best drink ever. That kind of thing. Where it's kind of cheap and fake, but like, you're in on the joke and not pretending to be genuine.
Boss, with the number of followers Kintsugi has, a video longer than 9 seconds posted at this time of day.
I don't want to hear that depressing shit. We'll cross-post it, whatever.
Does it have to be that corner? The lighting will be bad.
Any corner. Just make sure it's from a distance.
From a distance, wouldn't it be better if framed if...
It'll look like shaky cam found footage. It's more legit that way.
My hands do not shake, but I'll try.
And what are you doing? Making you a drink, obviously. It's quite the treat. Why? Because we got some heavy shit to discuss. Starts with ice. What do we do with crushed ice at Kintsugi, Sarah?
Kick it under the fridge.
Oh, that's cute. Exactly. Rock ice and nothing when you're mixing a cocktail. Hang on, you taught her that? There's a drain under there. Not in my kitchen, where the ice melts and warps the floorboard. Half a lime juiced. Pay no attention to that second half. I'm using here, Sarah. Red likes it tart. Now, you're the lawyer, and you've got a hell of a mind for all this stuff. Egg white, toss the yolk unless it's a weekend, in which case...
Put it in the bowl in the fridge.
It seems to me like you're approaching the shooter from every angle but the deadly serious one. Oh yeah, if a customer says they prefer simple syrup, you let me know. We won't serve them anymore. You need to consider that maybe that shooter wasn't here for Sosuke. Ah, shit. Yeah, well, I said I'd ignore it. I told you they kicked me out after only a few minutes. No one sent an assassin after me for that. Whiskey, black label or higher.
Then shake the hell out of it.
Word of mouth can be deadly down here in the fog. I saw her leaving that building. Can easily become. I saw her running away. If someone wanted to get me, a courtroom filled with cops would be a pretty shitty place to choose to do it. Yeah, but it might have been the only time and place they knew you'd be. Mint for garnish, with charred cinnamon for smoky ambiance. Serve immediately. A bitter blessing. Surely with that much lime, it's a sour blessing now. You want me to toss it out? Thank you for the drink. But I'm nobody, Rain. No one's coming to get me. Nobody even knows I exist. I hope you're right. I am. You won't know if you're wrong until it's too late. Bottoms up. You get all that, Sarah?
Yes, boss.
Hey, Bottoms up is just an expression. You're supposed to zip it. God. One last thing. Apparently, Sosuke's captors talked about some kind of huntsman? If the Little Lord's an urban legend, Huntsman's a goddamn boogeyman. Orcas shooting this shit about burning tires, trying to make the noobs afraid to go off and piss by themselves. Right, so they're bullshit. Got the same answer elsewhere, but... Oh, they're very real. I'm sorry? Huntsman. Not a species native to our shores, thank God, but they're real. You just said they're boogeyman. Yeah, and the fact they exist is what makes them so damn scary.
Are they some sort of assassin? Like Bresson, the shooter in the courtroom?
Nothing so concrete. The Hunchmen are virtual shapeshifters. You feel a chill down your spine one night, your way home from work, go to sleep. Wake up at night to a man wearing your own face, choking the life out of you. While he calls your mom from your phone across the room in your own voice. Like I said, they're all overseas, in a more contested parts of the world where the Bluebloods are better funded. You wouldn't pay for one of them to come into the country unless you had a really good use case or a weapon only they could take full advantage of. Well, I'll be sure to pass that on to Sosuke. Why? So Sosuke can start writing his will? I wouldn't bet against him so long as he knows what he's up against. Urban legends are missed, but boogeymen are easy to kill.
How do you kill a boogeyman?
Same way I'd kill anyone else. With pleasure. I love the addition of Diamante, who's like the information gathering. Oh, right. I actually need a recommendation from you. What a kind of recommendation? A bar, I think. Needs to be open tonight. Oh. What are you looking for? Well, it's not for me, but how much do you know about host clubs? Let's go. Let's go. We're getting Catboy host clubs in here? What the hell is that supposed to mean? Just what I said. You can't enter a crime scene unless you pass our security clearances. You got to be... You're a drug-pushing lowlife. Why would they need a position to go anywhere? I take offense to that. I've never worked in pharma. Han, not the time to be a smartass. Reyes, it'll only take 30 seconds. You're serious? This is reality? The city's expecting Bluebloods to keep a crime scene secure? They're the ones committing the goddamn crimes. Hey, if that's your criteria, half the police force should be disqualified. Oh, is excessive force not a real crime? Battered spouses not real victims? Guess assault's only assault when it's a real person on the receiving end. Sionis is legitimate, Reyes. All the paperwork's in order and signed by our bosses. Those idiots are walking around barehanded and knocking shit all over and leaving trash all over the goddamn place. Should we give them badges while we're at it? Let them investigate crimes too? We already investigate crimes. You have any idea how many missing teens there are in the lower wards? No, because we found them. Because we actually give a shit about the people who live down here. Oh, I'm sure your prices are very generous. Better the parents get a bill from us than a letter of condolences from you. So sorry, man, but it looked suspicious as he was running away. Han, not helping. Reyes, let's calm down. Sorry that I'm not calm when we've got actual authors stomping all over the scene where a cop was murdered. Last I counted, there were 5 bodies upstairs. Are both your eyes broken, or do you just not recognize anyone without a badge as human?
Perhaps we've come at a bad time?
Nothing for it. Gotta strike when the iron's hot.
The iron seems very hot in this instance, Adonai.
Sorry to interrupt, folks. Don't mind me. I'm just gonna take another look upstairs. Now you? Hey, why not? You nearly died once already today. Why not let these orcas give you the tour? Was that you giving me permission? No! You and London should both be at a goddamn hospital or whatever getting debriefed.
She don't need your permission. She has mine. Ma'am, you can go right ahead upstairs. Talk over to me again and I break your finger. Is that ad recording right now? That sounded like a threat. You want to hit at that? I'll... Clearly, this ain't gonna work. So, why don't you head upstairs and wait for more? I don't take orders from you. Who do you take orders from? You want me to give him a call? Let him know you're going around kicking hornet's nests and scratching your head over why everyone's getting stung? Whatever. You think you could just walk away after the shit you said? Turn around then. Take a walk, sunshine. If you think there were even one, I'm not kidding, Farah. Take a walk. Forget it. You can now go to hell for all I care. Oh, for... No, not you. For God's sake. Sorry about the bad timing. No, that was just gonna blow up no matter what. Situations like this require compromise, and Reyes is... uncompromising. At least you're around to balance her out. You might be the most compromised cop I've met. That was not a very nice thing to say. And it shows you haven't met that many cops. Surprised you're still welcome around here after what happened in the courtroom. Oh, Bresson? Bluebloods are a big organization, and Bresson was pretty firmly on the other side. Guys like Han who work in gray areas might as well live in a different world. If you say so. Just didn't think the Mafia would allow the death of one of their own to go unanswered. They sent him to a courtroom packed with police with a modded arm that only had one shot. I don't think they're surprised he didn't make it back. Will Detective Reyes be alright? She seemed angry. More so than usual. Yeah, she'll be alright. Blowing up, yelling, cursing. That's nothing. Practically healthy. It's the ones who go quiet you gotta worry about. What brings you back here anyway? We're pursuing leads. Sounds serious. Anyone go digging into Chopin after my implications earlier today? Lady Rockford would probably take it seriously if only to cross it off the list, but other than her, I think he mostly just pissed people off. Look, for you, I was able to convince some techs to confirm your soundproof windows theory, but additional analysis of the building has confirmed that the windows and doors are all effectively soundproof and closed. Thank God. That was a huge... that's a lot of where I was standing on. Don't expect to be welcome at City Hall anytime soon. Hadn't counted on it. Whatever else he's innocent of, Chopin did get here before anyone else, and no one knows how. Look, if he really did get some kind of coded message or secret text, there's no trace of any of it in Com's log of his personal devices. And didn't come from any of the tech we've examined on site. Have you found any secret passages on the premises? Afraid not, little lady. But maybe you'll have better luck than me. Secret passages? In what world? Was that your whole story back in the courtroom? You and Reyes happened to be in the area? If you don't want to take my word for it, Reyes will tell you the same thing. It doesn't seem like she'd want to talk to Adonai at the moment. Can you tell me exactly what you two saw when you arrived? 1099 went out around 10:15, telling us that Chopin's heart had stopped. So we dashed across the street to an elevator. We were descending at 10:17 when Rogers reported that he was dead. At 10:21, we approached from the front of the building, saw the door ajar, lock blown in, and Sunshine and I started cleaning the first floor. He didn't hurry up to the third floor where the dead cop was. Like I testified, Chopin had flatlined, and his own partner had confirmed that it was no false alarm. We knew we couldn't do anything for him. Rogers had already apprehended the suspect, so SOP is focused on securing the area and clearing the premises. I'm level-headed. So the officer Rogers we saw in court today really did take Sosuke down all by himself?
Yeah, charged in and pistol whipped him right on the head. I assume he found that the first floor was in fact clear. Yeah, all these vaults were empty. He didn't wait for Sionis to show up with the spare keys. Surprised you didn't throw your back out kicking down the doors. Sunshine helped. Besides, they weren't all locked. They weren't. Yeah, I remember that. That one right there was unlocked. Room 107. Reyes said one vault door was unlocked when he and Reyes had the scene. He realizes the physical key, like all the other doors in the premises. Nothing suspicious was found in this or any of the other locked vaults that they cleared. Interesting. Why point to that specifically? No. Nothing inside there either, though. Guess the Bluebloods missed a lock on a nightly roundup or something. Sionis unlocked every door in the building at this point. But when I first walked down this hall, when I walked out the front door later, how did this hall look then? If you do manage to find some kind of silent alarm, I'd be impressed. You prove that Chopin was dirty, I'll be floored. But even then, how the hell you gonna convince the jury that anyone other than Sosuke killed him? It'll be difficult without accounting for the 4 dead Bluebloods as well. But if you take it all in as one set, start seeming plausible as an internal issue, don't you think? What do you want to pitch it as the young bloods and old god going at it? Over what? The juicy bait that Chopin literally died over. Prop 492. Well, what was there to disagree about? Roderick would put money in everyone's pockets. If my theory is correct, Chopin was killed because the Youngbloods didn't want the Old Guard abandoning them. The Old Guard have always hedged their bets on the Little Lord returning. Does that mean red ink pays into plans? Does that mean the red ink plans to profit off Prop 492 for a Youngblood conspiracy? Those papers were tucked inside Creek's safe before I arrived. Well, good hun. You won't be joining us? Not this time. Gotta pump brakes on Sunshine before she finds a bar. Trying not to piss off the Bluebloods with any more wild accusations while I'm gone. I would never. Take care. And that goes double for you, Sparky. What does Sparky mean, by the way? It's a nickname, 'cause it's so brag. A nickname. But I guess people are always calling you ads whatever they like, huh? Sorry, should have asked first. What do you mean? I'll just call you Sarah. But it's my nickname. You gave it to me. You can't just take it back. Well, okay then, Sparky. She's cute. What the hell? You hate Spearmint that much? That is... I would never want to seem ungrateful. Alright. Sure. You haven't let me call you Spearmint in this whole case. I like Spearmint. Hello? No, there it goes. Okay. Seems like the smell's starting to fade. Barely even the memory of blood, now that so many feet have trodden through here. Nothing lasts forever. Miss Hot? What? No, I already called you this morning. No, they're not. No, they're not. You're being paranoid. Yes, I'm sure. Yes, I'll call you tonight. Bye. Didn't mean to interrupt another lover's quarrel. What? Oh no, that was... Dementia meds ain't working. They get confused this time of day. Sorry. Forget it. That's what I'm gonna do. Just gonna turn off my phone for a minute and forget. You had Android, by the way. So what's up? A couple ways of going about this, but none of them are surefire. Might as well start out big and see if there's anything to this theory. Do the Bluebloods use silent alarms? Yeah, of course. Thank you for telling us. Sure. I'm actually going to need a bit more than that, Miss Han. It's just Han. Did Creek have a silent alarm? She's hesitating all of a sudden. Is she unsure of the answer? Or did she just give her first answer without thinking about where it would lead?
Nothing like that installed in the building. Arcs would have chewed it up and spat it out by now. The arcs are not flawless. It can miss things. Look, you seen the level of tech we Bluebloods have? It's secure, but it ain't subtle.
Oop. True. An Orca run security firm won't have quite as much luck hiding their subsystems from the police as David Asher did, Sarah. Hold on. Oh, perfect. Nothing for it but to play on through, I suppose. A silent alarm that's analog?
Let me know when you figure that one out. Either an alarm is analog and loud, or digital and silent.
They don't mix. She's defensive, but her logic is sound. Approaching it from the other angle, then, how could an analog silent alarm possibly function? A literal alarm, but one that can't be heard under normal circumstances.
What a horrible smell in here.
Like a dog whistle. You once bragged to me about your sense of smell.
I don't think I was bragging.
Could have sworn you puffed out your chest at the time. Doesn't matter. If I asked you to sniff something out, did you find it?
What would you like me to look for?
Still don't have a clear picture of what happened after I left. There's one thing I know should be here that hasn't turned up once yet. Cigarette? Took a cigarette with me when I left, and I tossed it in a trash can for 3 rail stops. Then he just had Sarah sniffing off for it. Okay. The knife then, right? I'm the only one who knows about the knife. And while I don't know where it went, I do know it had plenty of blood on it when I last saw it. Can you smell for blood?
Adonai, do you really need me to help you find blood in here?
I'm not asking for you to sniff in here. I want you to smell out the window.
I'll try. There are many strong smells in this part of the city, Adonai. But there's something truly unpleasant as well. Something beneath this fire escape.
Okay. Now go fetch.
You can ask nicely.
Wait, Sarah.
Yes?
It's a very old, rusted fire escape. Take the stairs. You're too heavy. I like that the I don't know if this is new or anything. I don't know how. It hasn't really got an update. The paper ball that's landing on Sarah's head is now bouncing off of hers too, before it disappears.
As you command, Adonai.
Un instant. Several minutes later, Sarah returned, looking worse for wear and seemingly in a bad mood. Did the white comet bother her that much?
Adonai, I do not like digging through trash. It is not a dignified way to investigate.
Digging in people's trash is the basis of all good investigation.
Easy for you to say when you're wearing all white.
Did you find something?
Yes.
Yeah, my knife. And it's charred?
I found it amongst the ashes of a blackened steel drum below the fire escape. It seems to have been the site of a fire.
That sounds familiar. Wasn't there a barrel burning in the alley when I first scoped the place out?
There were signs of a chemical flame retardant being applied to the barrel.
Police must have put the fire out when they first secured the scene. Meaning the knife wasn't in the fire all night, but still.
There does indeed appear blood on this knife, Adonai. So how did both the police and Sionis miss it?
Their noses aren't good as yours, evidently.
That is true. But they have drones and dogs for this kind of thing.
Yeah, but they have to actually use them. They'd have no reason to search the vicinity for a bloody knife if they found a sword sticking out of a corpse's midsection.
Shall we ask the police to check for fingerprints?
Fingerprints are mostly oil and sweat. Fire evaporates both of those.
Then
We have to test to see whose blood is on that knife.
but DNA is damaged by heat as well.
You know, for DNA analysis, blood had another forensic use.
You mean blood typing?
DNA on the knife might be too damaged, but modern analytical tools should at least be able to identify blood typing.
That could work, Adonai.
Great! Ready to get started?
I'm sorry?
You were capable of recognizing my DNA, weren't you?
When we first met? Yes, but
So why don't you try your hand at analyzing blood type? It has to be simpler, right?
it might be Adonai, but to analyze the blood on this knife, I would have to use my tongue.
Pretend it's a lollipop or something.
It's blood.
Well done, blood. It'll taste like beef.
You don't know what human blood tastes like.
Of course I don't. Look, the fire sanitized it. Probably. Just get it over with.
I will reference this incident next time we discuss raises, Adonai.
Fine by me. That's never happening. Analyzing profile. Analysis complete. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Sarah. It's for the greater good. What'd you get?
There is blood from more than one person present. Mostly B minus. I believe with some AB minus around the tip.
All right. Now we can cross-reference it with the rest of the data I have. Thank you for the report, Sarah. You give me the new lead to follow. Nope. Well, actually, let's see. Chopin's A plus, A positive, I guess. O negative. London Makoto? Nope. Masters? Nope. God, I don't know any of these fucking last names. Miller? Yeah, there you go. B negative, yeah. Tradesman. Reyes, Rockford, Rogers? No. Sato, Sarah, Sosuke, Tanks? A negative, Trey, O positive. What did they say? Log. B negative with some AB around the tip. Profiles. So that we got O positive, B negative with some AB around the tip. Okay. Sosuke, Sarah, Sato, Rogers, Rockford, Reyes, Morgan. No. Miller, Masters. So there's the B negative. Where's the AB? Where's the AB negative? Go to London, Han, Diamante, Creek, Chopin, Barrows, Creek? Creek's O negative. Okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3. Rockford, Reyes, Morgan. 4, 5. Where's the AB? Where's the AB negative? Hold on. Now I'm checking everyone, even if it doesn't make sense.
Diamani, Han, London,
Kodo,
Masters.
Masters is AB negative, but I highly doubt it's her blood.
Miller, Murier.
Oh shit, Morgan's AB negative. That doesn't make sense. She didn't get injured at all that time. So that doesn't make sense either. Reyes is A negative. Rockford's O positive. That's funny. Rockford's O positive and Morgan's AB negative. As far as apart as they could possibly be. O negative. Sosuke's AB negative. Why is his blood on that knife? He cut his hand. Okay, yes. Okay. And then Tanks and Trey. Okay. Thank you for the report, Sarah. You've given me a new lead to follow.
Yes, Adonai.
And you've just made your first forensic contribution to an ongoing criminal investigation. My knife. Oh, cool. It's, yeah. Mass-produced, medium-sized combat knife sold at a wide variety of outdoors or hunting vendors. Covered at the bottom of an ash-filled barrel in the alley just outside the crime scene. Based clear signs of blood, simply tried by flames. Sarah's unique but nonetheless admissible forensic evidence found the following presence of B negative blood from Miller, I think, and AB negative blood from Sosuke. Last time I'll ever leave something important with Sosuke. How the hell did it end up outside? How many androids can say that? He sure knows how to butter her up. Oh shit, we disconnected again. Whatever. Now come on, we got some boxes to tick. Oop, shit, do we? Oop. Ankurtan. Supposedly he was the first to die.
Oh, Ankurtan. Supposedly he was the first to die.
Logically, he had to have been. He's the one who had the gun. If the attacker got away from him, they must have done so first.
Yes, I could see that the gun is registered to him.
Right. Registered. Who the hell would look at this guy with a gun and just nod him along?
Patrol officers, TAC, and HR 1 week ago.
Tariq Chopin and Huey Rogers, yeah.
The badge numbers match.
Seems like they detained Ankurtan briefly during a stop and frisk and found... No.
Seems they detained Ankurtan briefly during a stop and frisk and found this gun on him.
Finding a gun like this one on anyone with priors during a stop and frisk. At the very minimum, that's grounds for 28 days detainment. Why'd they just let him go?
Is it possible that he was a criminal informant?
If he was a CI, they wouldn't have even logged the incident. And besides, patrol officers don't even have their own CIs.
Then perhaps they let him go for some other reason.
Because they'd already gotten what they wanted from him? Make sure to copy that file of that stop and frisk report.
Right away.
Ooh. Found a Tank's person over a week ago during a routine civilian frisk by officers TC and HR. Report as follows. Subject in possession of firearm in violation of parole. Firearm shows signs of illegal modification. Subject in possession of suspect communication software installed in personal phone. Subject released with a warning in accordance with Police Code 65.3.29E. Personal discretion without prejudice. That means they just kind of let them go at his own discretion. Interesting. They decided to let him go. Read?
Rating protocol decided to make data difficult to physically redistribute.
Couldn't anyone just make their own phone and snap a picture of these pages?
It seems that some of the responding officers attempted to. The arcs showed that they failed.
That's some fancy ink. What do you see when you look at the pages then?
No more detail than you do, I'm afraid. It's strange, isn't it? They went to such lengths to protect this information, and yet these papers was left out for the officer Chopin or anyone could read them.
Or left there by Creek. The documents out of his safe so I could reach the mask. And they must have left them out on the desk after. Interesting. Is there anything over here that we still need to look at? Oh, hey, datapad. Nice.
Is this evidence?
piece of crap some crime scene tech left behind. Nothing relevant about it.
Yes, you're right. It's just displaying a news article they must have been reading. And apparently they've arrested the Heartbreak Killer. This is Copycat. Yes, the Heartbreak Killer's Copycat. And it seems...
Just let me skim it for myself. Suspected Heartbreak Copycat foiled and arrested. An individual suspected of planning an act of terror has been arrested. Quick response from local police and will coordinate efforts from state investigators. The suspect who's identifying information has not been released to the public. Apprehended by officers seemingly in the midst of preparing their attack, having already loaded a firearm and several magazines of ammunition with the vehicle. Fucking noob! They had to fucking... Morgan did that all in a single clip. It wasn't a clip, but you know what I mean. Police have not commented on whether the firearm in question was properly tagged, but insiders with close ties to the investigation claim that the weapon itself is not what led to the arrest. Identified a troubling pattern in their net integrity in the days leading up to the arrest. Oh god. Considering searches and attempts to access old net portals, the suspect had already been on our radar at that point. So when they posted that manifesto, we were able to quickly secure a warrant for their arrest. The alleged manifesto in question consisted of what was, at the time, a publicly accessible online document, praising Heartbreak's online stance against neoliberal corporate soft power, listing a number of complaints and criticism against the recent business decision made by Hanami Robotics. Most notably, an announcement made on their last earnings call that they would begin moving manufacturing jobs offshore. The decision landed Hanami in some controversy at the time. The stock prices steadily increased in the days after, reflecting optimism amongst shareholders that Hanami's lucrative product lines of mostly heavy construction robots would no longer be strictly tied to national politics. When the arrest was first made, no clear connection between the individual and Hanami was apparent, but Hanami's CFO has since been seen speaking to the investor conference at a hotel within 50 kilometers of the subject residence, suggesting a possible target. The takeaway here is that terrorist acts like this one are easily caught, easily prevented, and there's no standing risk to the public, said lead investigator Kennings to the official statement to the press. There's any dissidents out there thinking they're the next Heartbreak just because you bought a gun. You will be caught, you will be prosecuted, and your hero won't be far behind. Hanami Robotics has yet to respond to requests for comment, but their official social media accounts have released simultaneous statements denouncing in the strongest terms rising violence and thanking investigators for their swift and decisive action. We have also learned that a select portion of shareholders have received messages clarifying Hanami's global market strategy and reaffirming their commitment to their workers as well as to their customers and shareholders. Whether this is an indication of a reversal of their decision to relocate manufacturing jobs overseas, it's a change I feel about it. Right. It's not insider trading. That's forerunner trading. Seems like a little bit of a stretch to call this guy the next Heartbreak. Copycat arrested. So they say. It's super nothing, honestly. But I wonder what this means. Seems like Heartbreak isn't going away, no matter what happened to the original. So it would seem. That's interesting. Hold on. I want to take a second to just load game. Would I have gotten anything else if I just said it's nothing? Like I kind of wanted to, because it did kind of seem like a nothing burger. I know I'm killing time on. I know I'm wasting time on what I said would probably be the final episode, but fluff piece. Can't believe anyone would reiterate these rags. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Seems like Heartbreak isn't going away, no matter what happened to the original. So it would seem. So what? It's the... Oh, that's where they found Sosuke, right? Our client Sosuke, according to Rogers, this is how we found him. Thrusting the sword into Chopin. Or merely trying to retrieve it. Not a huge improvement there.
He really was found in a terrible state, wasn't he?
And that was before the cops gave him his cop killer welcoming in. Sorry, that was a hiccup. Sarah, bring up the medical files in Sosuke. I want to go over everything we know about how he looked when Rogers arrested him.
What specifically?
Give me wound patterns.
His left hand was broken. He had internal bleeding throughout his torso. Bruising and rope burns on his wrist where he was bound.
Hold on.
Contusions all over the anterior side of his body, and he also sustained a large blunt force trauma wound at the back of his head.
His biggest wound was to the back of his head. I guess if he fell backwards to the ground.
There's also a small cut on his left hand.
How small?
As if he cut himself in the kitchen.
Wasn't expecting a metaphor there, but it's effective enough. How about the blood analysis? He was covered in it, right? Were there any samples?
The blood in his torso and head were all his own. He got some of Chopin's blood on him while he was face down being cuffed by Officer Rogers. And he also had a great deal of Trey's blood on his feet and pant legs.
Interesting.
Any other questions about our client's arrest tonight?
No, unless there's some crime scene photos you've been holding out on me.
I am afraid not.
Why is it that I'm the only one who made an effort to preserve the crime scene?
So this is where they found Creek's body?
He was the only one who didn't die instantly. If anyone had a chance to use the silent alarm. No. Must have been paralyzed between the time he was shot and his actual expiration.
They weren't paralyzed.
What do you mean?
If they had been paralyzed, you would have noted that in their autopsy.
That is true. But he just sat there limp the whole time. Didn't even try to move. Was he laying dead? I didn't even think he wouldn't move, so I wouldn't notice his... Was there anything found on his hands? Literally anything at all?
Doesn't seem like it. They weren't holding something by the time their body got to the morgue.
Hold on. Is this a he-they thing? It doesn't list any. Oh, pronouns, any. Yeah. I think I did notice that last time. If he had been holding something but dropped it when he died... Can you help me look?
For what?
Anything small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Hang on. What's this? Did you just jump?
I was really surprised by the sound, Adonai.
What sound? I just brushed against this... This little toy thing. Can you hear it?
I can. It's not exactly pleasant on the ears.
Could any android hear it? Or is this some special feature David gave you?
I imagine any android or robot or electronic device with modern features could pick up this tone.
Maybe I should close the window before I test it anymore and stop torturing all the dogs in the neighborhood.
Closing the window would not matter.
It's soundproof, though.
But the specific frequency of this tone is not in your audible spectrum to begin with.
Right. Do you really think Creek was toying with that...
Oh, but do you really think Creek was toying with that nuisance maker in their final moments?
A whistle of unusual make discovered not far from where Creek's body was found. Pressing it emits a frequency inaudible to humans but capable of being picked up by many electronics. Did Chopin have a mechanical ear? Is that what he heard? And if so... No, okay. I think that's all right. That about wraps it up in here. Miss Han, since Sionis is technically in charge of securing the crime scene, what should we do with this?
Do with what? Adonai, please refrain from pressing that button any more than necessary.
Sorry, Sarah, I can see you don't like it. But Miss Han's phone doesn't seem to like it either. It's just Han. And I don't know what you're talking about. I get messages all the time.
Yeah, if you could please just admit it so that she stops pressing that. Fine, whatever. Yes, you found one of our alarms. Pretty clever system. Not really. Just an app. You set the frequency and get a note if the app picks it up. The range, a couple kilometers. Thanks for clearing that up. While I have you here, though, exactly how fast did you show up to the scene of the crime? Pardon? This is a blue blood neighborhood. Do you really expect people to believe the cops lumbered their way here faster than any of you could? What exactly are you trying to say? Yeah, I'm tuned to that frequency, but I'm tuned to a lot of frequencies. It's a good way of communicating without the Megs or the pigs listening in. So you didn't get this alarm the night of the incident? Didn't even know it went off that night. You got proof it did? Can you explain how else Officer Chopin could have gotten here? Nah, not my job to either. Is it your job to come to a fellow Bluebloods' aid when they're desperately calling for help? Didn't know Creek like that. Didn't say Creek was the one who had this. I saw where you were poking around. They're the head of the pod. I assumed. Creek's a stranger to me. Even though you're both young bloods. What? I'm guessing that's what the tattoo means. Neither of you make much effort to hide it. Yeah, on his neck. And then I saw hers right there. She's covering it right now. It is plainly visible, even in their autopsy photos. You have no idea what this ink means. Would you tell us what it means? Blood bag. What? The old guard use you as donors. Gangsters live a life of drugs, smoking, drinking, and back alley mods. Then end up with livers and kidneys that look like charred steak. Who could have guessed? Got no children because the Ikariyas killed them all. Can't get on the donor list because they're geriatric vile crime lords. So what do? Hey kid, wanna be a gangster? Let me see if you got what it takes. Hold still while I prick your finger. They tattooed our torsos because even if you mod off all 4 limbs, you still pump clean plasma. Every drop an indicator of quality. I'm a universal donor, so I got 3. I think, what's their name also has 3. A universal donor, yeah, O negative. And they also have 3. So if I go to, where is she? Who am I talking to? Diamante. Nope. Incorrect. Name's Han. O negative, yep. Universal donor. Wait, hold on. No. We haven't seen him shirtless yet. Creek, he has got a thumb on his neck. Diamante. Didn't expect him to. On his other chest. London? Haven't seen him shirtless. Yeah, I wouldn't expect Makoto to. Masters. I just know she has one of those. That's funny. Miller. No. Interesting. Mirie. Wouldn't expect her to. Morgan. Also wouldn't expect her to, really. Reyes. Nothing. Rogers. Again, haven't seen him shirtless. Sato. Wouldn't expect her to. Sarah wouldn't expect her to. Sosuke. Tanks. And Trey. Yeah. Alright. Just thought I'd go looking. AAA graded. Just like meat. And Creek. Save it for the trial, lady. Ah. Are we done here, you think? Not quite. Interesting. Nope. Emma's argument is that Sosuke didn't escape from here. He was brought out into the other room to be questioned and then broke free.
I know it's not true. Sosuke would have been stuck here until the police arrived if I hadn't handed him the mag US to, well, frame him. And the knife, also to frame him. Secondarily, so that he could cut himself free from his bindings.
Those bloody rags there?
Remember what Sosuke told us when we first met? He was bound in here the whole time until his bad Samaritan came along.
And gave him the knife.
Now we know that knife he was talking about. And now I want to know whose blood this is.
Blood on the bindings? It would have had belonged to Sosuke, wouldn't it? All the other bodily fluids in this room do.
Probably. But I need to know.
You already done it once. What's one more time? One more time will surely make me sick. Please, Adonai, let's ask one of the science employees to stand by to analyze it. They have a record's very fast turnaround on DNA tests, I promise. I can show you customer reviews.
That's right. Sionis does do DNA testing.
Typically, paternity tests as part of their private investigative services. They have been assigned assisting the police with DNA analysis around the scene. I will flag the bindings to be analyzed.
Wait.
I have already made the request, Adonai. If you insist on making me test the bindings myself now, you will only be upsetting my stomach to satisfy your own impatience.
Fine. I'm going to cite this incident next time we discuss arrays. Really is a shithole in here, though, huh?
I agree with your sentiment, if not your choice of words. It feels like a cruel place.
I didn't know this would be more investigation. We might have to change the name on this one.
What is it? Was there something we missed in here, Adonai?
No, not in here. The windows. They were closed when Queek was shot. Still closed when Chopin and Rogers arrived on site. But they were open by the time Rogers got to his room. I used that contradiction to argue for the presence of a third party.
Because someone must have opened them to go down the fire escape.
And then what?
They must have dropped down into the alley and ran away, right?
Yeah. That's one option.
What's the other?
They went to a lower floor, maybe?
Would it kill them to do some sweeping around here?
I guess that would be contaminating the crime scene at this point. But then what the hell do all these cops and Cyanus chumps actually do? Lean on walls and screw around on their phones?
I think you're being a bit harsh in your assessment, but you aren't alone in your criticism. Detective Reyes had much to say about how Cyanus employees were not wearing any gloves and
knocking over trash. If they had picked up trash, they'd be removing evidence. The arcs would light up. Adding trash, though?
Adonai?
Help me look through all this.
Garbage again? Already?
Just start looking.
Maybe this requires DNA analysis.
Wait, there. Red.
I don't smell any blood.
Not blood. Ink.
A torn page of the Ready documents. It looks like a shoe print on it. Shall we try and match it to samples?
Good luck. Cops and security types all wear the same kind of boots. On top of which 99 out of 100 shoes in the city are made of by the same two Megs.
But if the print isn't useful, that just leaves the actual text in that.
Looks like the letters were all run through a wash a couple dozen too many times.
Well, it isn't particularly informative. And I don't understand exactly how this clue fits in with everything else we've seen. But isn't this scene important?
I don't know. Let's see. Common type of blueprint recovered from the room directly below the scene. Was missed or disregarded by previous sweeps in the building. Dismissed as trash. Exposed to natural humidity for some time, the rating is already illegible, but a watermark remains visible in the corner. Sigh. Sionis, maybe?
How could it have been lying here neglected this whole time? Nah, Princess, I'll have to call you right back.
Of course, wouldn't dream of it.
Come on. You know me. What'd you find here? More dead man's garbage? Keep it up and you girls are gonna make me look bad. Happy to be of assistance. So would you like to add this to ARCs or should I? Well, it seems like you got momentum going, so... Please, don't let me get in your way. You don't wear gloves on the job, Miss Han? It's just Han, but you already know that. Probably also know they don't really make them my size. So if we find your fingerprints in here, on those windows or even upstairs... Oh man, I'd be pretty embarrassed. We almost always get rated 5 stars. So do you need me to walk you out? I'll be fine, thanks. Suit yourself. Just be careful you don't get lost. Sun'll be going down soon. Can be hard to find your way back in the dark. Yeah, okay. This idea is starting to look like a pretty safe bet. Your theory that Chopin was assassinated as an attack on the old guard? How can we confirm it? We still haven't met anyone from the old guard. Though even if we had, it occurs to me that they'd be reluctant to speak with Sosuke Ikariya's legal team. Don't be so pessimistic. The enemy of my enemy is usually willing to at least talk. And talk is where I do all my best work. Where do we look then? Still got the address boss gave us? Oh, old host clubs. Interesting. 6:06 p.m., August 15th, 2086. Blueblood territory. Hey there, Tolerated Mysterious. Ladies, please come in. Don't be shy. Let me guide you to a booth. Quote-unquote local host. Should we take a seat for now? With taste as expensive as yours? You get near a menu, these people will drain my checking account and overpriced champagne faster than I can blink. Oh, champagne! As much as you like. This is going to derail fast if we don't find a way to shut it down. Surefire way to get exactly the right kind of attention and douse their salesmanship in one go. I'm going to go with that. Hey, please don't frown. Smile would suit your pretty face much. I need to speak with your manager. What happened? They're all walking away. Hey, Mama. Yeah. Uh-huh. It's some kind of, I don't know, accountant or whatever here to talk to you. The voice at the other end of his earpiece grumbles a response. A cranky one, judging by his reaction. Mom will be out in a second. You're expected to buy something in the meantime. You got tap water? You don't want to drink the tap water in this district. Soda water? It's all overpriced, lady. Might as well get something you'll enjoy. I thought my first visit to a host club would be more celebratory than this. How much thought have you given the subject? Oop, hey. That's another data pad. What kind of light reading gets tossed around a club like this? Probably something along the lines of, I spent every night at host club for 1 year. Here's what the staff taught me about emotional workloads in corporate settings. Oh, this actually looks kind of interesting. Fungus stymies bamboo stokes for unrest. Sorry, fungus stymies bamboo stokes unrest. That's an ideal rainfall patterns met with great advantages. Bamboo struggling to meet demand. Now the increased widespread reports of the extra attention. Just migrant worker population is faced with the most of the cultural science labs in the Antarctic Peninsula. Restrictions to lumber industries. Bamboo premier organic manufacturing and construction material. Interesting. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Interesting. Features that have historically struggled to farm soy, sugar, or wheat. Delicate balancing act between tuning a cultivar to subject effect. Use like this one would be able to put our ability closely. The fungus practically chews through the grove, as you can see it growing naked eye. Do you think it's hard of their citizenship status? He tells us just to burn it all, but it's too damp for anything to catch fire. Bamboo's hard to burn. One of these incendiary stuff.
My favorite stuff, Morris. That sounds like Agent Orange. The thing, napalm. That sounds like napalm. The efficiency of burn pits and combating the spread of the fungus is limited, but it's most corporate low and masks are unnecessary measures. Some of the migrant workers' population have regulated hesitancy to provide it more politically motivated. Plotter's rebellion was decades ago. The gas mask is still a powerful symbol yet today. Back then, workers went on strike because of the conditions growing mushrooms and the Bluebloods are so unbearable. So we gotta work. I'd be surprised if they were getting nervous. Oh, I see. That's right. Authority government officials are also keenly aware of the risks and challenges associated with such large. Ramsey syndrome raises serious concern among. Yeah. Bamboo's construction material tailored to grow specific small. They provide masks. Back then, the Corp was on strike. The region's home to disproportionate young population, and education lies firmly in the realm of corporate authority. Interesting. Not the reading material I expected to find here. But judging from the article, the Megs are getting concerned about growing unrest, growing fungus. It's unrest, right? The fungus is a problem, sure, but they've engineered their crops around problems like this 100 times before. Easier to update the monocultural genetics than entire global economic model. The Megs are probably more concerned about all the young people getting agitated about their job security. The warmer the waters, the bigger the storms they brew. Oh, wow. Is that an order? Check. Bad enough that I'm walking into the lion's den here. Stepping even further into Blueblood territory to defend an Ikariyas assassin. Do I really have to wait for the shoe to drop into place this sleazy too? Are you perhaps not enjoying yourself, Adonai? You're getting better on picking up on that. You're frowning quite openly. Are we indeed getting arrested here? Nothing illegal about a host club. Trust me, guys. I know what a host is, yeah. What was that one anime called? All Around High School Host Club? I didn't even watch it, but I know what it is. So it is essentially a commission. I kind of figured. Society culture internally fairly niche during the 20th century and saw a large decline in popularity over the first half of the 21st century. I love this bit in like near far future stuff where it's like, here's how this thing survived into the near far future. And saw a large decline in popularity for the first half of the 21st century. They have undergone somewhat renaissance in the last 20 or 30 years. Shifting cultural norms about parasociality, online dating, and work-life harmony have contributed to this phenomenon. Sociologists have observed that host clubs have developed a new reputation as a kind of social gym. Interesting. Can exercise their social skills in a low-risk environment. Yeah, I guess that does kind of make sense, huh? Increases in average work hours have pushed single individuals away from traditional drinking culture and long-term dating. Employees of multinational corporations have maintained running discrete tabs at select establishment. Attendance may be seen as an advisable or even mandatory step in acquiring and maintaining relationships. Interesting. Despite the global trend of decriminalization of sex work, host clubs have remained a distinct industry. That said, it is hardly uncommon for staff to one establishment or another to switch sides. How to build confidence, how to know if a hostess really likes you, courtesan versus hostess, who would win? That's funny. These people searching things are really funny. Sometimes.
So you're just uncomfortable then?
Unamused is more like it. Asexual queen?
Have you ever been to an establishment like this before?
No.
Not even while you were apprenticing?
There may have been certain work parties where attendance was strongly encouraged, but I never set foot within a kilometer of a place like this otherwise.
I suppose you have a hard spending limit. There's only so much you can enjoy.
And it's not a matter of cost. It's a matter of taste.
Surely everyone enjoys being paid attention to, no? It's flattering.
Not everyone likes being complimented. Takes to being complimented. Oh, also, that's right. She's kind of like a recluse serial killer type.
I see. So you respond more to being challenged.
What do you think?
Perhaps not.
I don't know. Your little prosecutor friends might agree.
Do you think they were being literal when they said we were expected to make a purchase?
Probably. Doesn't mean I'll oblige them. Though it's not like spending money here will make them less likely to cooperate.
I would offer some suggestions based on customer reviews and price points, but for some reason I don't see prices listed on any of the items in their menu. Was a mistake made when formatting the data?
Man, I hate this place. I'll go middle of the road. Fuck it. Why not? Wine seems classy. This isn't an important one to make, but I will. I'll have a glass of the house red. The bartender raises their brow before nodding. When they finish pouring, I'm left with a thin-necked glass of lightly bubbling crimson, and the unshakable feeling that a hole's been bored into my wallet. Candy red. Is that good?
Most red wines are darker than that. And most red wines also smell more.
You're telling me I just bought a glass of food dye and vodka or something?
Possibly. But you wouldn't be the only one to do so, looking around the room.
When a room's a pretty shitty logic, the room happens to be burning cash all around you. Well, I'm curious. At the end of the day, it's going to be wine, but I would like to see the other ones. Fuck it, let's go all in. Ah, what the hell. Hey, Homme d'Orient. Pour out a tower for all I care. Suddenly, as if I uttered a magic phrase, or a sleeper cell kill switch, all the eyes of the staff around the room dart to me. With a jolt of energy, the bartender jumps up to ring a bell above the counter. Palm D Tower! The staff began an unsettlingly chipper chant. Tower, tower, tower! Mr. Sarah's eyes can get any wider. Let's take a commemorative photo, madam. Where would you like to sit? Who's the smallest spender in here? What? Well, I mean, we don't really keep track of that sort of as I wander, losing light all the while instead of a glassy-eyed, pitying stare at an overworked-looking young man at a small table. Adjusting his tie while the girl next to him makes no effort to hide her boredom. Set it over him. King for a day. The same nervous smile he'd used to shake hands with the suicide bomber, the bartender redirects the oncoming parade towards my designated lucky loser. He looks terrified. Money well spent.
You just gave the tower away?
I got shit to do. I can't drink all of that.
I could have perhaps helped. But even so, after you paid all that money, to just pass it along to some stranger. Are you some kind of saint?
Oh, I'm not paying for that. Makota's getting of this bill.
Your client?
File it under investigative expenses.
That is not exactly inaccurate, but
What's he gonna do? Kill me?
given his position in Hasakari and his age, it would be more likely he'd have you killed.
You know what? I'm gonna let that one stand. That was actually very well worth it. Mama on deck.
The big cheese.
What exactly are you expecting?
With a title like Mama, I would expect a stern but fair, nurturing figure who...
What the hell do you want? Is that the kind of treatment one should expect at this establishment after purchasing a champagne tower? That was you? Oh shit, you clearly need information a lot more than I thought. The Ikariyas must be giving you the mushroom treatment. Keep them in the dark and feed them shit. Yes, I've heard all the lawyer jokes. Now, can we talk, or should I get on the phone and claim my credit card's been stolen? You bought the champagne tower. We can talk all goddamn night if you want. Introductions, then. I'm Morgan, Esquire, criminal defense attorney representing Sosuke Ikariya. With a glowing green toaster as your +1.
Couldn't have put it better myself, Miss Kim Hana, small business owner. AB plus. No tattoos. Discerning mark. Small business owner. Persimmon, handbags, joint cracking. Yeah, join the club. 6 part-timers. Binge watchers, odd vandalism. Interesting. Can slice an onion paper thin in 11 seconds. Fascinating. Relaxes by shooting clay pigeons. Promote from within. Interesting. And one of the more influential members of the Blue Blood Old Guard, I take it. The Old Guard are the only Blue Bloods that have any influence at all. First gens and Youngbloods should count themselves lucky to be middle managements. Should you really be calling them Youngbloods? Oh, now the neon robot's gonna preach to us all about political correctness. Really, madam? I know PC. My gen invented PC. We got PC coming out of our ears. So I mean it when I say Youngblood's a term of endearment. Well then, I won't hesitate to use it. To their face? Better not, they knock your teeth out. How about a trade, Miss Kim? Mrs., you're talking to a widow. One who doesn't need anything from you. Not the best position to be start bargaining from. We're trading information. If you think I can't give you anything, you're not thinking very hard. Oh yeah? What do you think you've got? Something I can tell her that you don't already know. Oh shit. Preston's fate. That could be all over the news. Actually, no. There was that media blackout, but I hardly think she expected it to be anything new. Freak's killer. Oh, no, we're not doing that. Did we offer up the Little Lord ID? I don't think that'd be very... I'm not sure she would take us seriously. It's worth a shot. Even if I'm right, I'll only be telling her that Chopin's dead and of no use to her. There's also the chance that she has no idea the Little Lord is even real. In which case I'd be showing way more of my hand than I'd like. God, do I do Creek's killer? What about Bresson's fate? Does she give a shit about Bresson? He isn't even listed on the profiles. I could tell you what happened in the courthouse today. If something worth knowing had happened, it'd be in the news by now. There is currently a blackout on media coverage of today's events. There's always leaks. Finding one will take time. I can give you a first-hand account right now. Let's hear it. Un instant. Hello? Bresson. What a goddamn idiot. Completely useless. He did manage to infiltrate an entire courtroom full of police officers, even knowing he wouldn't make it out alive. And he still failed to hit the easiest shot of his life. But Bresson is just an incompetent addict. Useless idiot is the one who sent him there. Not you, then, I take it? Old Guard sounds like it moves slow and wise. We've got our fair share of hot-headed dumbasses, too. Impatient, hot-headed dumbasses. Time's money. My turn to ask a question. Money? Is that why you've been going after Makoto? Trying to draw up a king's ransom because he can't go to war without a war chest? Who says we're at war? Who says we're in any rush? Our plans are measured in decades, you little shit. No. Time isn't on your side right now. Right now, more than anything, you need money. Says who? You? Says the headlines. Time's running up before you miss the bus on... It would be Nirvana, right? Because Bluebloods don't really have much of a stake on Prop 492. Workers. I'm going to say Nirvana. Nirvana. Everyone in the capital knows it'll be legalized before the end of the year. Yeah, party drug. Dumb money. Yes,
Dumb money. Best kind of money there is. And you could rake it in by the truckload. If you had the starting capital to build a dispensary network beforehand. As things stand, the gray wave is going to roll your hard work up in a ball, hand it off gently to the Megs and the Ikaria. You've been losing this game to them for 3 decades straight. But I can see you still haven't gotten used to it. Of course not. Who the hell just roll over for those upstart bootlicking? That goddamn fox smirking behind his perfumed incenses, painted screens, and sheets of gold leaf. Should have cut out his eyes when I had the chance. I'm acquainted with the hound. Who's the fox?
Should we contact a survey of all the IFG's members' back tattoos?
The fox. The kitsune. Goddamn Daisuke Ikariya, of course. The family's patriarch. Haven't had the chance to meet him in person. You give me a reason an Ikariya lawyer didn't already stink of cigar smoke.
My Lord does smoke, despite my repeated warnings about the health hazards. Have you had your olfactory checkup lately? Loss of smoke would be the first sign of...
I don't smell. That's the takeaway. Now admit it. You want to capture Makoto Ikariya so you can afford to ride Nirvana to legitimacy. I don't want to capture Makoto Ikariya. You know our history. In brief. So what part of that summary made you think that if I had the chance to end the Ikarian line, I wouldn't take it immediately? Are you speaking for yourself, or for the whole of the old guard? Nah, my turn to ask. Is the hound gonna make it? Are you asking about my legal defense strategy? His injuries. Any chance he's gonna keel over from an infection after Creek's pod worked him over? Bresson somehow managed to nick him?
He is still recovering from the injuries he sustained when captured, but he was not harmed during the incident in the courtroom today.
Yeah, Bresson didn't even manage a scratch. Not a scratch, huh? Did he even get the shot off? A detective on the scene responded before he could. A detective? Yeah, why? Yeah, not really throwing any questions on him of all people. Speaking of which, the bottle spun back around. Are the Bluebloods working with Chopin family to profit off Prop 492? Ha! You missed that one. Try another.
What do you mean?
You think Mr. and Mr. Chopin are working hand in hand with us for a little cross-class embezzling? Those rich pricks wouldn't piss on us if we were on fire, and the feeling's mutual.
But they're backing Prop 492. If you could buy the land they need before the city knows that it needs it.
Then the Chopin family aren't your collaborators. They're your marks. Bingo, kid gets a prize. Or they were. Plan's worthless now. That old courtroom heard me explain how Creek had read ink documents on Prop 492. Whatever blueprints, whatever land the city had in mind, they'll change all of it. Thanks for that, by the way. Don't blame me. Your plan was always fragile. It was destined to collapse the moment that anyone with more pull than a ticketing officer heard that Bluebloods had their eyes on real estate. I mean, the Bluebloods would kill to keep those documents from circulating. Yeah, well, it's just how it goes for Plan Bs.
Plan B?
Answer me this. What did you see on those red ink docs that tipped your hand about Prop 492? Well, it was mentioned in an abbreviation, if not a name. P492. It's always a pretty big giveaway. Must have had more than that to go on. Names, diagrams. Saw Councilman Long's name on there. Long, sloppy bastard. Wait, you didn't know that was on those papers? Not exact. You didn't know that was on those papers. Not exactly. You didn't know where Prop 492 leaked from. What are you saying? Leaked from that Brat Creek, obviously. Red ink means it was printed off from somewhere you trust, in a place run by people you trusted. And it doesn't sound like you trusted Creek. Are these your questions? Because they're terrible. And pointless. Blondie's already dead. So Chopin wasn't in on the plan. What possibilities are left then? Might as well try asking when I have the chance. My client overheard something interesting during his captivity. Talk of the Bluebloods bringing in a huntsman. Fake. And if you don't know what that, and you don't even know what that means, your client heard wrong, and you're a fool for believing him without any proof. Sorry, guess he misheard. Must have also misheard that you brought in a no mask into the city.
Sosuke mentioned that?
It's called the bluff, Sarah. Hold on. Yeah, must have been delirious. After all, if there had been a no mask at the crime scene, it would have turned up during the police investigation. Huntsman. Ridiculous. Maybe he's real, maybe he's fake. Maybe he's already behind you. Phantoms like that get their power from uncertainty. If I answered your question at all, that'd be your answer. Schrodinger's box is already open, though, and the mask isn't there anymore. It's not in the hands of the huntsman, but who has it? A dead man, who just doesn't know it yet. Final round.
But if you still wanted to ask, our house, my rules.
Who hired you? Why would you spend a final question on that? House Ikariya. You already know the answer. I was hired by the House Ikariya. Uh-huh. You, some no-name nobody with no connection to any of the houses. They hired you to defend their hound. Either you're dumber than you look or just less curious than a lobotomite, but either way, you really don't know the answer, do you? No, I don't, which I can freely admit. So I just have it point out make me feel like such a defeat. Come to think of it, I do have one last question myself. I'm gonna run that back, actually. I don't mind that I'm doing this this much. I have the control key. Nirvana. I don't know.
I knew it.
And you had to ask? Apparently someone recommended me to Makoto. Well, however it started, the Ikariya have their leeches on you now, girl. If I were you, I'd find out exactly where they're latched on and pry them off. Before they bleed you dry. I'm basically just doing them a favor. I doubt we'll have any further transactions. Try telling them that.
Well, you would be the expert on bloodsucking.
Careful, girl. Come to think of it, I do have one last question myself. That ain't the deal. Then it can be rhetorical. What are you gonna do? You've lost all your heirs during the fall of the leaves.
Adonai?
You're reviled by the international Bluebloods for locking your treasure behind GFA you can't crack. Now all the old guard need transplants and transfusions from the first and second gens just to stay alive. And they won't be glad to keep that up forever. Eventually you, all of you, will die. Will you rest in peace knowing that everything you ever managed to build will be laundered into what? 30%? 40%! 35, just to end up in the hands of some punks you tutored? What a nice young girl you are, worrying about your elders. Well, don't worry your pretty little head over dear sweet granny here. Because she's a mean old bitch in a line of work where everyone stupid dies off young. She and hers are gonna be just fine. Don't forget to close your tab before you go.
Did you get any useful information from your rhetorical question, Adonai?
The question irritated her, but it didn't make her despair. I may have misread this. The old guard have a way forward.
Prop 492 is no longer an option.
Leaving them with Plan A.
A little lord? But Tariq Chopin is dead.
Yeah, he is. Which probably means he's not actually the little lord. Or something.
How dare they? After all they put him through down there in that string hole of a city district.
To try and kill Sosuke in the courtroom of all places. I forgot that was his voice. The nerve of those Blueblood scum! I'm sure if we just wait for him to stop, we'll be standing here until morning.
So, should we speak up?
I don't know. I'm terrible with children. Listen, just keep nodding, and if he calms down enough to ask a non-rhetorical question, get my attention.
What are you gonna do?
Try consulting an expert. What are kids your age like? Not my birthday. I'm not asking for you. And I'm not a kid. And I'm not a kid. So I wouldn't know. If it's for Sarah, I'm not a robot either. But what's someone younger than you like? I don't know. Even one grade below me. Sense of humor is impenetrable. Your sense of humor is impenetrable. The other day, the school announced they're gonna be doing test prep at every grade level, and the top comment, before it got deleted, was a picture of a fish with boots. Oh, that's old. And the caption was, "Battering me and frying me in oil for 4 minutes on each side." Not that impenetrable. It's a very basic non sequitur. How's this for non sequitur? Go ask someone else. All you did there was get back on topic. Why are you even asking? I'm being hired by a youth. And I need to interrupt their temper tantrum. Well, what do you want me to do from here? Hack them some fork knife bucks. Fork knife bucks? What's that? Would that work? Also, what do you mean youth hired you? Oh. So they must be like rich. Yeah? I'm like the worst to ask for advice then. What do I know about rich kids? Your academy's full of them. Why do you think I do as much of my schoolwork as possible for my dorm? Don't you have at least a roommate? No. Never got assigned one. Guess there was some kind of unavoidable computer error on their end. This is hopeless. You're usually good at gift giving and shit. Buttoning up judges. Private court officials. Slipping coins into vizier's purses. You have a very antiquated view of what my work entails. Medieval, in fact. Hoodie Pass, did you know him? Whatever photo that is, failed to send. God damn it. I mean, what would you do if they were a rich adult? Flatter them or whatever. Rich adults are used to people wanting their money. Flattery puts them on guard. So what's the approach? No. You approach them as though you already work for them. Pretend you're a butler. Acting on wordless commands they've given without an original thought in your head. They aren't suspicious of anyone they feel like they already own. That mostly makes sense. So do that. They probably got more in common with a rich adult than kids their own age. Well, you know. Anyone else with a soul. Unless there's some reason you can't do your iconic butler technique here. So I want to act subservient to a child.
Sosuke did strain himself slightly when he tried to tackle me to the ground. That was the extent of it.
Yeah, as my ad said, no one was hurt. Well, the attacker was part of an officer-involved shooting, but no one else was hurt. Oh, well then perhaps I should just forgive all and make peace. The fools will forget their actions. The anger of the house once aroused is not easily satisfied. Shit, I thought there was a lull, but it's ready to start back up again. As Sun Tzu says,
if your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him.
Well, yes, but...
Please calm yourself, Makoto of Hasakariya. We need to speak with you.
What a cute girl in front of him. About what? About Sosuke. You you think he's done something to deserve this? That's not what I. There's nothing Sosuke could have done to justify what the Bluebloods have put him through. I mean, I assumed as much, but Makoto has no idea what the Hound of Ikari was doing up until a year ago, does he? These questions are foolish. I'll not waste my time.
A wise man can learn more from a foolish question than a fool can learn from a wise answer.
Quote the Bhagavad Gita all you want, robot girl. It is not impressive for a machine to.
Bruce Lee said that.
Well, he was probably paraphrasing it at the time. Will you help us or not, Makoto?
Please.
If it's for Sosuke. Enough. Oh, that's right. Electric blue irises flash a deadly glare. It's about time we met, dear old grandpa. The room's shadows seem to extend in his presence, curling and deepening like ink dropped into water. That is a gangster. Chairman. All of you, show some respect now. He says that out of practice without actually looking around the room. One glance would have shown that there's no need to demand respect. Every head was already bowed. This is a man who is used to others not meeting his eyes. The rest of you get lost. Their practiced obedience didn't betray them. They all slipped away into the halls of the complex without so much as a creak in the floorboards. And even so, their anxiety was screaming at me like a bad tell begging to be taken advantage of. His presence here today was not expected. Now then, come here, Makoto-san. Grandpa! How are things on the front lines, huh?
Makoto is their heir, so the chairman is his grandfather, of course, but...
My little warlord making his enemies tremble with fear every time he sets foot out the door.
I was not expecting the head of the House of Neo-Liberty to be so... affectionate.
I thought you and father were still in the capital. Well, we were. And we made a lot of powerful people in that city very frustrated while we were at it. And made a lot of frustrating people very powerful, I'm sure. I wish I had seen their dumb faces solemnly nodding when I cancelled my meetings. Just to fly home and see my grandson. Chairman, apologies for the lack of an introduction. This is... I know exactly who she is. She's a lawyer. Any good? She is not entirely incompetent.
I would hope you would say more than that.
And she's also somewhat perceptive, Chairman. Knows when to keep her mouth shut clearly. How bad can she be? Her methods are odd. She came here to ask me about Sosuke for some reason. Ha ha! Oh, sorry. Not another word. Chairman? Back in the storehouse on the second floor, there's a cask of sake that I won in a drinking game I suppose it's been 6 years ago now. Would you go and fetch it for your grandfather? Of course, but old trick of the trade. One sip and everything we tell her becomes inadmissible in court. I see. Very clever, Chairman.
Makoto's allowed to drink sake?
The hell's wrong with you? Of course he can't drink. It's a ceremony of it all, damn it. Understood. I'll go retrieve it right away. How about those layabouts that were in here fetch you a ladder first? Make them earn their keep for once. Got on a suit and pair of glasses. You think you could just stand there for the rest of your career? You lazy. Read your damn emails if you've got nothing better to do.
Should we be seated a certain way, or...?
There is no cask of sake.
Oh. But then the strategy of becoming intoxicated in order to avoid...
I made that up. You're the lawyer. There any truth to what I said? No need for tricks like that. Attorney-client privilege already binds my hands. I'm working for House Ikariya right now, Sarah. I mean, hell. Makoto could confess to me that he's a mass murderer, and I still wouldn't be able to tell a soul.
So then why did you send Makoto away, Mr. Chairman, sir?
I want to walk the gardens.
Are we supposed to follow him?
He left that part unsaid.
How can you tell?
He left it unsaid.
A quick strategy meeting?
You know what a butler is, right? Oh, it's loading. It's thinking. I hope Daisuke and Sosuke don't show up in the same room together, or else those voices are going to get very confusing. I am glad you have such an appreciation for attorney-client privilege, sir. It makes these conversations go much smoother.
But if you trust privilege so much, why don't you trust your grandson to be here?
Don't kid yourself, Kappa. That boy is the future of this family. If I didn't trust him, there'd be no point to any of this. Everything I've built. Dynasties aren't dynasties unless you manage to actually pass them down. What you've built in the last 30 years is undeniably impressive. Must have required astonishing brutality. Progress is brutality. And history is unkind to the gentle. I can't help but notice that we haven't accessed you into the profiles here yet, Mr. Yeah, it wouldn't be here. It would be Daisuke. Is that why you orchestrated the fall of the leaves? To get your name in the history books? Orchestrated. So grand. So full of it. We knocked on their doors and they opened them. We shut them. Walked up to them on the street and split their stomachs wide. Pulled up beside them and let loose full auto on their limos. It wasn't anything as complicated as orchestrated. I executed. There it is. Show me the money.
Oh, positive. Almost another universal donor. Interesting.
Bodybuilding, archery, and bonsai. How refined. Phones at the dinner table. Yeah. Undefeated at enjoying spicy food. Surely at his insistence. Smells like cedar, tobacco, and iron and dried blood. I guess that makes sense. Vice-like handshake. Ooh. Ooh, I love a good tight hand grip.
It's been a while since I had one.
I once knew a guy a lot similar to well, I wouldn't say very similar to it. Like he had a very similar, like he was old and like there's no point in continuing this line of thought. But it's I missed like anyway. And my uncle named me successful for it.
The Bluebloods weren't even able to put up a fight?
They were worried about handshake events and social media perception. Thought that their friends in high places would be there when they needed them. Thought they had already won.
So how'd you get away with it?
Good timing. No one notices a leaky faucet in a downpour.
This was right before the Red Decade got underway.
And once the borders started locking up, there was no chance of reinforcements. We never saw it coming. We didn't know there was a bubble. We didn't think things would get that bad. That's what they always say. The losers. Scapegoats paraded in front of courts and cameras to meekly reassure the national audience that, no, you couldn't have done anything. You did everything right. So did we. We're all victims of uncontrollable market forces here. Still bred for piss-poor circus. With a pity party instead of proper gladiators. I saw the signs, but more importantly, I didn't ignore them. Droughts from heaven, no grain in the storehouses. There'd only be room for one family of thieves in the city. I made sure it was mine. Last call, all aboard. And everything you've built since. Renegon, Aria Holdings, the legitimate half you're so proud of. That was the easy part, actually. Reprivatizing an industry is tricky business. How do you break up a state-controlled monopoly into a healthy, diverse, and competitive private marketplace? How? Dunno. I'll let you know if they ever pull it off. The shit show they did go with was easily gamed. Sprinkle some cash in the right bureaucrats' pockets, and you were able to snap up entire economies wholesale. We being the neo-ability, if that's the term you prefer.
Adonai, why is he confessing?
He's not confessing, Sarah. This is bragging. Mr. Ikariya, I'm not looking to take up too much of your time. Perhaps you could help me understand something. The inciting incident, as they say.
In screenwriting.
They say it elsewhere too, probably. A year ago, you extended an olive branch to the Bluebloods over Nirvana. Was it genuine? My curiosity was genuine. But not your financing. Is that why it fell apart? Why Makoto was attacked? It fell apart because those first gens and youngbloods of theirs are hot-headed idiots who can follow orders. But I expected as much. That's why I ordered my hound to be present, on standby.
But he didn't assassinate anyone that day, did he?
No. Instead, Sosuke stepped in front of a blade that was headed for Makoto. And he's been guarding the boy with his life ever since.
Was that your order as well?
My order, yes. Not my idea. But I'm the patriarch, not the dictator. If my sweet siblings and darling nieces and nephews make such an earnest request, who am I to refuse?
You had to be pressured into letting Sosuke guard Makoto? Weren't you concerned for Makoto's safety?
Of course I was. I just know the best place for the queen is on the attack, not hopping around the king's sides blocking checks. Hey, chess metaphor. Help me out.
Any piece can sacrifice themselves, but there's only one queen. She has by far the most mobility. It's better to keep her out in the open, ideally near the center of the field, where she can attack freely, at least assuming you ascribe to.
Okay, got it. But here's the question. Why have the Bluebloods kept trying to capture Makoto for over a year now? Because some hot-tempered idiots? What is your answer? Why do you think they would want to capture our little Mako-tan? His blood doesn't make sense, because there are easily other heirs around. He's just the heir apparent. The ransom looks and sounds good, but there's always something a little extra sometimes. Revenge. I mean, possibly, but they could easily just do what they did. Just start gunning Ikari out in the streets. And even then it wouldn't be safe. But for no reason. Oh, there's always tricks to these little lawyer games. I'm gonna say no reason, and if that fails, I'm gonna do the ransom. Well, they wouldn't want to capture Makoto, and they don't. A certain mama said as much to my face. They'd much rather kill your soul heir than capture him. It's what I'd do, if they had any heirs left.
But then, why keep attacking Makoto if not to capture or kill him?
Their goal's never been Makoto. It's just been that every time. Oh, sorry. Their goal's never been Makoto. It's just that every time they've gone after their goal, Makoto's been there.
You mean?
Put another way, the purpose of an operation is what their operation accomplishes. They've been trying to capture Sosuke for over a year. The other day, they finally succeeded. You think those idiot punks wanted to take my hound alive? I don't think. I know. Because it's literally what they did. They captured Sosuke and brought him down to the lower wards. To torture him. Idiots. If they don't talk after the third, they'll never talk at all.
The third what?
Probably strike. It wasn't just any Bluebloods that tortured him. It was a pod led by a young blood named Creek. Young, old, bound by blood or water, they're all the same scum. As you say, but I learned that there's some pretty big ideological rifts among that scum. The Youngbloods captured him, no doubt on Old Guard orders, but just an hour ago, an Old Guard was asking after Sosuke's health. They didn't want him harmed. A generous interpretation. I'm guessing the Youngbloods knew that, but they tortured him anyway. Probably because they wanted to know why they've been repeatedly ordered to capture him. Halt with it. Why would they want my howl? What the Bluebloods want ultimately is simple. So simple that... Well, my android can answer this one.
I can?
What do the Bluebloods need right now more than anything?
A lot of money, without which they can't invest in legalized nirvana.
Such a shame that. I'll be happy to pick up where they left off. So at a time when they need money, they're throwing their Youngbloods at capturing Sosuke. Ergo, capturing Sosuke must open a path for them to get their hands on lots of cash. My, I look away for a few days and suddenly my hounds have skyrocketed in value. Who do I have to thank? Who raised the price on his head to such a degree?
What about Sosuke makes him so valuable?
The police bounty? Skill set. Not his blood. He was adopted. His ransom. Would they want him back that bad? I don't think so. Especially not since I'm pretty sure one of them told him to kill himself, but maybe that's just my interpretation. The skill set? No. It's not like they would convince him to turn. The police bounty? The Bluebloods gave Sosuke to the police on a silver platter, they'd finally caught the hound. Physically, but so what? The police aren't even issued a warrant for Sosuke's arrest. Bluebloods had incriminating evidence. Delivering that to the cops at the same time as Sosuke himself would hardly matter. I doubt even the Old Guard hates the Ikariyas enough to risk being seen as police collaborators. Interesting. What they need is money, right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Started to develop a thought, but I want to see if this one's right first. That's what I'm saying. Really? Who raised the price on Sosuke's head? You did. 30 years ago, you made him irreplaceable when you killed everyone else who shares a drop of his blood.
Sosuke's the Little Lord?
That's what I was thinking. But I didn't want to believe it. Damn. Last descendants of the Bluebloods' ruling families. And the only person on Earth who can get them back their fortunes. Hell of a shot in the dark. You gonna deny it? Sarah, when did the attacks, supposedly on Makoto, begin?
About a year ago.
What else happened about a year ago?
A meeting between the Bluebloods and the Ikariyas that fell into chaos.
Makoto made it out without a scratch. But only because Sosuke stepped in front of a blade for him. I can assume that Sosuke is an impressive martial artist.
With very well-defined pectorals and collarbones.
But even he must have left blood on the floor that day. Yeah, he bled that day, but it's not as if he bled blue. You telling me the Old Guard could just smell the resemblance? I didn't need intuition or guesswork. Their private security organization, Sionis, is in the business of securing crime scenes, cleaning them up, and performing paternity tests. Could have been on a whim. Could have been they were hoping to match him to the DNA left at other hound attacks. Who knows? But I would pay good money to have been a fly on their wall when I saw the results.
His reaction to this information is not very strong.
It's to be expected. I've just told him a bunch of information that he already knew.
He already knew Sasuke was the Little Lord?
That chess metaphor you used a minute ago might have sounded like solid reasoning if I actually played. Unfortunately for you, I find the game boring. So it struck me as very odd that a grandfather like you, equal parts doting and calculating, whatever places air safety below concerns as vague as optimal play. You didn't object to Sasuke guarding Makoto because you wanted to keep your hound. You just couldn't convince the rest of the house that it was a bad idea without revealing who Sasuke really is.
If he knew Sasuke was the real target and would keep getting attacked, then having him guard Makoto would actually be putting Makoto in danger.
You know bonsai. They look like miniature trees, but they aren't. They are shrubs. You condition it to look like a miniature tree by pruning it daily until it stops trying to grow into what it's meant to be, and instead lives as what you want it to be. Is that true? Sounds brutal. I'm gonna wait for this last drop because it's kind of important.
How many disconnects has that been now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jesus Christ.
My, but the Wi-Fi's been terribly bad tonight.
Luckily, I have the local recording. We'll see if I need it, actually. Ah. Now it says successfully connected. All right. I'm going to say that's good enough. Took the Bluebloods to figure out my scheme, and you solved it in, what, 48 hours? You deserve a toast. I wish that sake was in the storeroom. Instead, as a reward for your effort, I will give you a story. 30 years ago, I saw the future. Not in statistics or stock prices or consumer confidence indexes. I saw it in people's eyes. Fear and delusion. The sinking feeling that maybe everything really is made out of bullshit and seafoam. And that if you ever stop to look down at it, you'll fall through to the bottom. Can't warn people, they wouldn't believe you. They'd strangle you to death for implying their boat might have a leak. Only one thing to do in times like those. Take advantage. For 1 year we pulled back. No resistance, no bargaining. We let the Bluebloods hungrily swallow what we'd left behind. For 1 full year we withdrew and waited and sharpened our knives. 1 year of preparation for 1 weekend in August. Hottest August on record. They left all the goddamn windows open. It went so fast we'd show up, get to work, leave the mess for whoever cared to see it, and drive up next to the next address. I did 22 myself. And even had you asked me back then, I couldn't tell you the first thing about any of them. Except for the 22nd. She had firm eyes. Cold eyes. Not that harsh. No, not that harsh. Cool eyes. Like condensation on steel. And she was very brave. When I took aim at her, she blinked. Not even upset, just exasperated. Like I neglected to hold the door for her. My mouth was dry. Felt like I hadn't spoken all day. I had to clear my throat to speak up so she could hear me over the babbling of the river she'd fled to. And the shots in the distance. Wanted to ask her why. Why out here? Why not a panic room? Why she was wearing a medical gown and why her thighs were covered in blood. But instead I just asked, why aren't you afraid? She said I can't be afraid. I'm a mom now. I always liked that answer. So when the pistol stopped ringing in my ears and I heard the baby wailing in the bushes, I felt inspired. It's tradition in our family, going back centuries, that the eldest child be guarded from birth by a nursemaid, typically from a branch family. My wife would be due soon, and the Hayakawa clan had been an unfortunate casualty of that month. There was an opening. Expertly done. But why let him live?
Adonai?
So that I could invent the little lord. Build your opponent a golden bridge to retreat across. You started the rumors about a survivor? So long as those fools still had hope they could reclaim their former glory, they'd never rally themselves into chipping away at ours. But if they ever did become a real threat again, I'd have the world's most valuable hostage ready to put them back in check. You turned your enemy's last hope into a meat shield for your family, and eventually your personal attack dog. That was just a bonus. They had come of age and so had Sosuke. He was free to choose any career in the family business at that point. He became the hound of his own accord. I'm sure.
That's just
Irrelevant at the end of the day.
what?
Helps me understand why the Bluebloods have done what they have. It doesn't put me any closer to proving Sosuke's innocence.
But Sosuke is their little lord. If we tell people, won't that change anything?
Well, for starters, we won't have any of this in court. Of course not. I can't exactly go telling the court about my exploits 30 years ago. Not when we have attorney-client privilege.
But if you use your influence, you can reach out to the Bluebloods.
What? We'll work together to set Sosuke free. I killed everyone he could ever consider family, Copper. Besides a few old crooks waiting to die, anyone who shares a drop of his blood is in the ground. Most of them put there by me. I did all of that to sink the Bluebloods. Now that they're finally ready to die, you'd think I'd throw them a lifeline just to protect one man? Just to keep one man out of prison? He's right. I'm not allowed to disclose anything I've learned about here without his express permission. I would complicate the attack suit against my family terribly if it came out that I lied about the blood relation, wouldn't it? Sosuke's in the will, after all.
That's
The law. Didn't mean to run you in circles, honestly. I would have preferred you never wasted time unearthing any of this. That's what I get for relying on him to deliver a message, I suppose. You're the one who wanted to keep my investigation limited. I thought you'd get the picture and hurry up and make a plea deal. Negotiate the charges down to manslaughter. Get this all squared away so we can focus on fighting this damned audit.
audit. Sosuke's on trial for his life.
Sosuke sworn to protect the family with his life. I'm respecting his wishes. If he does go to prison, the Bluebloods will die knowing their little lord is alive, but permanently beyond their reach, rotting in a cell for killing their own men, in defense of their own worst enemy. I can see why you wouldn't mind that outcome. A hostage that you're never willing to sacrifice isn't a hostage, just a babysitting gig. I spared his life 30 years ago. This doesn't even cover his interest.
So Sosuke's always just been a tool to you? A hostage you'd protect until the perfect use came along?
I've always wondered, do tools appreciate that part? When they're used properly? What do you think, Copper? Does Sosuke have any complaints?
That doesn't make sense.
Huh?
Sosuke's a veteran. He served in the military. Did you grant your hostage permission to go risk his life for his country instead of you?
It's not like he was one of those Minutemen they throw at the walls. He was never in any real danger.
What about as your hound? Deadly assassination and infiltration missions. He could have died during any one of them. Why let your perfect hostage, your obedient tool, take on such dangerous work? Why give him your last name? Why let him under your roof and raise him like a son? Why trust him with protecting the life of your son, your grandson? Why are you lying and pretending you don't?
Pardon my android's outburst, sir. I have to adjust our conversational parameters later. Don't bother. Just rip its voice box entirely if it's going to speak over a man under his own roof. God damn it, Soppa. Next, the furniture will be telling me what to feel about my own damn family. Raise him like a son. What bullshit. I have no son. Counselor, do your damn job and Sosuke to do his. Now.
I'm sorry. That was a very butler-like behavior just now.
It's fine. It was a good play in the moment.
But do you think he meant that?
I don't know.
Do you think he meant he said when he has no son?
Makoto is Daisuke's grandson. If he has no sons, then the previous heir that Sosuke grew up guarding must have been...
Makoto's mother?
Yeah. Mirie. Is it safe to assume everyone in your family has severe trust issues?
I have no issues with trust myself.
But as you've seen, the house has very particular preferences when it comes to information siloing. Fancy words. You could have just told me who you were.
I told you my name and my position in the house.
I very much suspected that she was her. Yeah.
Is it relevant that I'm married? That I am a mother?
Should I be flattered? You told me you were for Araya Holdings. You didn't mention you're at least the second most powerful member of the house.
If I had to tell people that, it wouldn't really be true, now would it?
You could have told me your relation to Sosuke. He guarded you every day of your life until now. Up until you were 19. 19. He's your goddamn brother. So that message you wanted me to pass along. If you see a way out, take it. You want him to try and make a deal with the Bluebloods to get out from under the house.
If Sosuke merely gave them what they wanted, I'm sure there would be dozens of Bluebloods ready to confess to the crimes he is accused of.
So you know. You knew. And if you thought you could parse that, if you thought he could parse that message, that means Sosuke.
He is not an unintelligent man, merely stubborn about all the most frustrating things.
Ooh, it's quite late. But I want to get through all of these. We'll let this conversation play out. What do the Bluebloods want from Sosuke precisely? A blood donation?
One sample will not suffice. They need to be able to validate their counts whenever called for.
Daily blood donations, then.
I told you the old guard wants to become neo-ability. How did they cement alliances among the aristocracy of old? They want Sasuke to marry? But the old guard are old. Sasuke's already got as much blue in his veins as they could ask for. They don't need to marry into them, they needed to marry into power.
Not the worst thing to have asked of you.
Have you ever been in an arranged marriage? Don't call it a gift.
You were the heir apparent until Makoto was born. All that time, Sosuke was your bodyguard?
And driver. And poison taster. Though that would most often entail me giving him concoctions to try. But his assignment actually ended when I married.
Subtracting Makoto's age, that had to have been over a decade ago. So he joined the military the moment he didn't have to shadow you anymore? And after he got back, he asked to become the Hound. I must really hate guard duty.
He must.
Back up a moment. Your father didn't want me uncovering Sosuke's parentage. Most likely because he didn't want Sosuke to know the strength of his own bargaining position. But you told me to pass Sosuke a message that he'd only understand if he already knew who his parents were. So how long has he known? And how long have you known he's known?
And when did Daisuke cease knowing who knows what? Around the time Sosuke left for the military.
Hell of a thing to find out at your entrance physical.
It was before he left for the military, actually. That influence his decision?
Sosuke finds out he could be the richest man in the city and then wants to risk dying in battle. Quite the guilty class consciousness.
I don't know exactly what did or didn't influence his decision to join the military back then. You'd have to ask him. I apologize for any gaps in knowledge you've had to work around. But hopefully now you understand how delicate of a situation you found yourself in.
Yeah, I can smell the explosives and hear the fuses sizzling.
I just don't get why no one's over to stomp him out yet. If Sasuke knows the whole time why the Bluebloods wanted to capture him, why didn't he tell us?
Because he's a stubborn man working for a highly secretive family. That I get. What I don't get is why he didn't defect the moment he learned the truth.
Who knows? You have to work out the rest with him. I've given you all the aid my position allows. I suppose it was kind of you to share the information with us at all. Being in charge of the legitimate side of your family, you don't have any connection with this incident yourself.
Not quite. No connection with this incident? That's not quite accurate.
Pardon?
You do have a connection with this case, even if you yourself don't realize it. I found a note by the body of the Blueblood who took Sasuke captive. It read M. Ikariya.
This was one of the men who attacked my son. I'd imagine a note with his name is the least of what you found.
They've never been after your son. Not once.
It's always been about capturing Sosuke,
And Makoto's just been in the crossfire.
which Sosuke knows, which explains his reluctance to accept the responsibility of guarding Makoto.
So I seriously doubt this dead man was interested in Makoto Ikariya.
Miria Ikariya, however, has no relation to the world that dead man lived in. That was decided the day she was born.
But you do have a relation to Rinnegan. Makoto mentioned your family was given one seat on the board as a show of respect. I take it that that's a deception too. You may have let Rinnegan go public, but you've never given up control of it. The rest of the board was your family's puppets. But it doesn't matter. What matters is what Rinnegan makes, and the prices it charges.
Rinnegan is best known for its patenting of metinformalin, a patent which expired years ago. Plenty of other companies making it now.
And yet the price hasn't gone down.
The invisible hand sets price where it will.
Sure, but this is your invisible hand. A normal corporation couldn't strong arm its competitors into keeping prices high. That'd be operating as a cartel. But the reincarnation of the Ikariya drug cartel would know exactly how to go about that without getting caught.
If that were true, it would be much easier than you make it out to be. The right email signature, the right package delivered to the right address, the right look. These executive types get easy, where the perceived threat is anything bordering on the physical. Of course, it helps that the end result is we all profit immensely. But yes, meat and formalin is very lucrative. What of it?
That dead man, Creek, had a brother with expensive tuition. And TAD.
Type 2 abnormal diabetes?
I did notice that. I don't remember how I noticed that, but I did notice that. His own disorder subtype. Oh, with his weird spine. That's right. Well, type 1 diabetes is largely due to genetic factors, and type 2 is acquired by poor diet and exercise. Type 2A must be believed to result from childhood exposure to specific artificial sweeteners. Typically cannot be reversed. Exactly which artificial sweeteners contributed to the disease is still not well understood, but the disease's increased prevalence in urban food districts desserts is well documented. The most severe symptoms of TAD can be managed through diet and exercise, but even then, the peripheral neuropathy, deterioration of nerves that can be limbs, and overall fatigue can be devastating. TAD can be treated with a variety of medicines, but the most commonly prescribed is metenformalin, as it can be injected in a daily pill rather than injected like many other comparable drugs. The cost of TAD medications is a well-known issue, particularly with urban communities with high youth populations. While Renegan's original patent on metformin has expired, and there are generic versions of the medication freely available, prices remain high even for drugs produced by direct competitors, versions that remain unclear. Renegan has maintained that metformin is sold at the proper market value, and has suggested that state-mandated quality control processes are to blame for the inflated costs that drug manufacturers are forced to pass on to consumers. Tingling figures why, how to get health insurance. What does health insurance actually even do? A question I have found myself asking very recently. He'll need metformin for the rest of his life.
And you really ought to choose proper insurance plan, don't you think? I don't get the impression that family member coverage is a benefit the Bluebloods offer. I suppose even the Mob Act has its limits. Yes, one could find the name of M. Ikariya in relation to the Renegan board if they looked hard enough. So you think this individual was going to threaten me? Come up to me on the street with a knife, a gun. He would get within 100 meters. I don't doubt that. Now the rest of this is speculation, but he might have wanted to contact you. That would have been even less likely to succeed. So you don't truly care that his brother needs his medicine? Sosuke's like a brother to you, and you've gone out of your way to try and help him, even when you stand to gain nothing from it. Yes, but I wouldn't expect my enemies to be impressed by the effort. How would you feel if they laughed at your effort? My apologies. New android, still adapting to conversation. You know what we sold back before Renegan? For the facade of nobility back when we were the Ikariya cartel? Opioids? Yes, it was still legal back then. Not for everyone. Take this exact same compounds, put them in an extended release pill, and sell it at the pharmacy. And that's just pain management. It's all the same poison, equally addictive whether you get it from a dealer or a doctor. Have you ever seen someone go through opiate withdrawal? Like taking a wine opener to your stomach for 7 days straight, they testified. Pain like that eats people alive, slowly, and replaces them with something unrecognizable. A loving parent would steal from their own child if they thought they could buy them a release from that kind of pain. Painkillers, what a joke. Does Renegan produce painkillers? No, we do not. People die if they don't get the medicine they need, and I'm sure their family mourns them. But addicts die a little more than every day of their life. A little more every day of their life, until they finally fade out forever, and their family feels disgusted with themselves for breathing a sigh of relief. Plenty of kinds of evil in this world, little girl. Plenty to choose from. For real people like us, you don't choose. The choice is made for you. Now wipe that look off your face and access the following address. Renegon.main.manufacturing.prescriptionfinancingoptions.output.out-of-pocket.apply. You have that memorized? But this portal is not listed or linked to any one of the sites. I know, but it still works fine. By law, we have to have it, but we can't be blamed if the website is poorly designed. If you know any despondent crybaby college students looking for coupons to help pay for medication, they might want to start there. Thank you. Don't thank me. Don't. Hey! I can't stand it. Just save Sosuke's life. So she didn't want him to kill himself. Interesting. Don't know how you pulled that off. How did I? They do constantly refer to themselves as a house. Perhaps they simply value family more than you think. Ooh, perfect timing. Looks like next time we get to talk to Sosuke. This is oof, oof. I'm glad I get to do more. Yes, yes. There was a little more to this than I expected. Yay. All right. But it is late, 5 to midnight to be specific. And I had a headache not too long ago, so I'm going to sleep that off. So, hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, rest of your week. Hope you're all taking care of yourselves. And, even over the counters, you need to be careful with how much medication you take. Well, I don't know if that specifically. I'm not really a doctor. Anyway, take care, guys. Have a good one. I'll see you later. Also, by the way, did you notice I changed the waiting screen? I finally found out how to change the font color.